So the UFC rankings just dropped, as it does on Tuesday after UFC 314, and wow, what an absolute garbage show. Whoever makes the UFC rankings, Dana White claims it's the media members. It is terrible, atrocious, because these rankings literally make no sense. I want to start off by talking about the featherweight rankings, because obviously we had a ton of featherweight fights this past weekend. And if you look in the featherweight rankings, look at the top 5. It literally makes no sense. Why is Ilia Topuria ranked number 3? He should be pulled from the featherweight rankings. He's not a featherweight anymore. He literally said he's moving up to the lightweight division. Same thing with Max Holloway. Why is Max Holloway number 1 contender? He's not a featherweight anymore. He said he's permanently moving up to lightweight. This is things said by Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway. Ilia even claimed that the UFC promised him a title shot if he were to vacate his belt, which he did. Why are they throwing Ilia Topuria at number 3? Is it just because they don't have other fighters to replace him? It's very strange. It does not make any sense. The rankings never make any sense, because Diego Lopez should be number 1. Movsar Evloev should be number 2. And I'd say Yair Rodriguez should be number 3, with throwing Ilia and Max out and everybody else moves up. It doesn't make any sense. I also would not mind putting Gene Silva above Aljamain Sterling and Josh Emmett. I know that sounds crazy, but Gene Silva is 5-0 in the UFC with 5 dominant wins. Aljamain Sterling's only win at featherweight is against Calvin Kattar, who is on a 4-fight losing streak, and Aljo's inactive. He hasn't fought since he lost to Movsar, so... yeah, I don't understand why Aljamain's ranked in the top 10. No disrespect to Aljamain, but outside of beating Calvin Kattar, he's literally done nothing at featherweight. I know he had a close fight with Movsar, but I don't think close fight should be indicative of the rankings. Either way, Gene Silva, I think, should be at number 9, and Aljamain Sterling should move down to number 10. Josh Emmett should be number 11. And I wouldn't even mind moving Yusuf Zalal and Dan Ige over Giga Chikadze, because what has Giga Chikadze done? Beat Alex Caceres? Oh, Alex Caceres. And honestly, I would not mind replacing Calvin Kattar with Bryce Mitchell, but because I know Bryce Mitchell just lost, but Calvin Kattar hasn't had a win in like 3 years, and he's on a 4-fight losing streak. At least Bryce Mitchell was able to beat the GOAT, Kron Gracie. But come on, dude, the UFC, it's like they're not even trying with these rankings. I can't stress it enough. Why is Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria in the featherweight rankings? They are not featherweights. What are we doing with these rankings? It literally makes no sense. Can someone explain to me why the UFC would insist on having Max and Ilia in the rankings at featherweight? Why isn't Movsar number 2 with Diego Lopez at number 1? Yair should be number 3, and then Arnold Allen should be number 4. And then one thing I will say, I am happy that Brian Ortega is finally falling down the rankings to number 7. I will say that. Brian Ortega has been a notorious rank squatter since the beginning of time. This guy's literally been a top 5, top 10 featherweight for like the last 8 years, and he fights like once a year, but somehow continues to secure rankings. So I am finally happy to see that the UFC is finally saying, okay, Brian Ortega, you're not just going to sit here and hold a top 5 spot forever. I don't care if you have a win over Yair. You got smoked by Diego Lopez and you're not fighting. So good to see Brian Ortega move down. I honestly wouldn't even mind seeing a Lerone Murphy move above Brian Ortega, but Josh Emmett at 10, I guess, isn't criminal. Giga Chikadze, I don't even know. I wouldn't even say he deserves to be in the rankings. I guess him having a win. Who does he have a win over? Giga Chikadze. He has a win over Calvin Kattar. No, he got destroyed by Calvin Kattar. I forget who Giga Chikadze. Oh, he beat Edson Barboza, my bad, and Alex Caceres. And somehow that gets him number 12. So yeah, I saw these featherweight rankings, and once again, I couldn't help but just kind of giggle at how ridiculous they were. If we take a look to the left, we also have the pound-for-pound rankings, where we see Volkanovski moves up and back into the top 10, which I am happy with. A lot of people are unhappy with Pantoja being number 10, and you know what? I disagree. I don't mind with Pantoja being number 10, and let me tell you why. Pantoja has not really shown that, he hasn't done anything recently to move up the pound-for-pound rankings, if you know what I mean. A lot of people say that the pound-for-pound rankings are indicative of how your skills would translate across weight divisions. I think that's kind of outdated, because let's be real, if it was just about skills, then literally lightweights, featherweights, bantamweights, and flyweights would be on the pound-for-pound list. There should be nobody in welterweight above on the pound-for-pound list, just because the most skilled fighters are lower weight classes. I think we need to look at skills, level of competition, and performances. And when you look at that, Pantoja's had low levels of competition in his last 2 fights. He fought Urseg, who was number 8, went life and death with Urseg, and then he submitted a guy who debuted in the UFC and and Asakura. So it's like, for the people that are so mad about Pantoja being number 10, what has he done in the last year and a half to move up on the pound for pound rankings? Please tell me. It's indicative of you beating top guys, and Pantoja has not been beating top guys. He beat number 8 in his division, who had 3 wins in the UFC, and then he beat a debutant. So it's like, I get he has wins over Royval and Moreno, but that was years ago. We're talking about right now. What has he done right now to move up in the rankings? Because he's not just going to magically move up because he has old wins against Moreno and Royval that happened 2-3 years ago. That's not how it works. Also, I wouldn't even mind moving Tom Aspinall above Pantoja, just because, you know, finishing top guys in his division, interim champion as well. Nah, I'm joking. I don't mind Pantoja being over Tom Aspinall. Sean O'Malley, I guess Sean O'Malley can be on the list. The rest of the list I kind of agree with. I am happy to see Merab in the top 5, Ilia Topuria, Islam. I don't even think John Jones should be in the top 15 pound for pound at all. I think they should remove John Jones from the pound for pound list because he's not pound for pound. He's had 2 fights in the last, 5 years against old man Stipe and Cyril Gane. He's not fighting the best of his division. He's ducking Tom Aspinall. John Jones shouldn't even be on the pound for pound list. Of course, his fans are going to say otherwise and say, dude, you're saying John Jones should be on the pound for pound list? You're a freaking casual, dude. John Jones, the greatest fighter of all time. That's fine. Yeah, we're not living in 2015, buddy. We're not living in 2017. We're in 2025, where John Jones is choosing to fight old man Stipe over his interim champion. And his best win in the last 5 years is Cyril Gane. It's like, come on, John Jones shouldn't be in the pound for pound rankings because he's not fighting and he's not beating the best competition. That's just a fact. Islam obviously going to be number 1. I think it should be Islam 1, Ilia 2, and then everybody else can just kind of move up 1 slot, and I'd be happy with that. And yeah, I thought the featherweight rankings were an absolute joke once I saw this, because let me stress it again. Why is Max and Ilia ranked at featherweight? It literally makes no sense. Max and Ilia are no longer featherweights. Get them out of the rankings. Let's move on to the lightweight rankings, which I also had some disagreements with. Lightweight rankings, obviously Michael Chandler dropped 5 spots. I am happy with that, but I thought that Michael Chandler should drop to number 14 instead of number 12. I think that the UFC needs to be willing to drop guys heavier in the rankings, not just 5 spots. Drop him 7 spots. Michael Chandler's 2-5 in his last 7, or he has a 2-5 record in the UFC. He hasn't won. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He doesn't have a win since he fought Tony Ferguson back in 2022. And yeah, man, I don't mind Grant Dawson and Joe Alvarez being ranked above Michael Chandler. Another thing is, BSD have connections with the UFC, guys who make the rankings. How is BSD sucking someone off? How is BSD ranked number 13 at lightweight? Can somebody explain that to me? Benoit Saint Denis is on a 2-fight losing streak. He got destroyed by Poirier, and then he got absolutely embarrassed by Moicano. His best win is against Matt Frivola, who's on a losing streak. Why is Benoit Saint Denis in the top 15? Where's Ignacio Bahamondes? Where's Fares Siam? Where's Ludovic Klein? Where's all these guys that are actually on win streaks, fighting and actually beating guys, versus BSD was on a 2-fight losing streak and hasn't won since? It's like, why is he in the rankings? I think that BSD should drop out of the rankings. We should reintroduce Ignacio Bahamondes at 15, move Michael Chandler to 14, and then Joe Alvarez should be 13. And then from there, everybody else can kind of fit in. I also think that Max Holloway should be above Justin Gaethje. I know that's his only fight at lightweight, but it's like, how is Justin Gaethje above Max Holloway when Max Holloway literally destroyed him and steamrolled him? I get that Justin Gaethje just got a win over Fiziev, but it was Fiziev on short notice, and he struggled to get that win. So for me, Max Holloway should 100% be number 3, and Justin Gaethje should be number 4. What else? Paddy Pimblett, number 8. I don't mind that. I don't mind Paddy Pimblett at 8. A win over Chandler these days shouldn't be rated higher than that. So Paddy Pimblett at 8 is fair. Dan Hooker at 6 and 7. Yeah, I agree with the rest of the rankings. It's just Michael Chandler should fall down further. Benoit Saint Denis should 100% not even be in the rankings because, like I said, his best win's Matt Frivola, and he hasn't got a win in literally years. Moving on to welterweight rankings, we still look, and you guys know that I have a hissy fit about it every single time. Kamaru Usman, how is this guy still ranked in the top 5? He does not have a win since 2021. It's going on 4 years since Kamaru Usman had a win. I get he was pound for pound number 1. I get he was a dominant champion. But listen, we're not in Peaches and Creamville. We're not in 2015 anymore, or 2020 anymore. It's 2025. Kamaru Usman hasn't fought in a year and a half, and he doesn't have a win since 2021. How is this guy still a top 5 fighter? Jack Della Maddalena, who's ranked number 5, he should be ranked number 3. Leon, it should be. I agree with Sean Brady at 1. I really do. After that win over Leon, Shavkat is at 2. I think JDM should be at 3. Leon Edwards at 4. Then Joaquin Buckley at 5. Kamaru Usman should be at 6. Kamaru Usman should not be a top 5 ranked welterweight in 2025. That's embarrassing. Colby Covington should not be in the top 10 in 2025. Colby Covington should slide down to like number 12 or 13. Wins his last win against Masvidal in March of 2022. It's been 3 years since Colby Covington got a ranked win at welterweight, and he's still a top 10 welterweight in 2025. What are we doing? Wonderboy also 1-4 in his last 5. I love Wonderboy, but I feel like Carlos Prates should low-key be above Wonderboy. He's beating active competition. He's knocking out guys, whereas Wonderboy's 1-4 in his last 5, getting knocked out, finished left and right. I get it's against higher level competition, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not Prates above. I don't know. I feel like Stephen Thompson should drop to like number 13, and Colby should drop to number 14, and I don't mind moving the other guys above him. Listen, I'm tired of these guys. Like, respect to Wonderboy, he doesn't rank squat. Colby Covington is the definition of a rank squatter, and I have no doubt in my mind that his ties to Dana White and other things are the reason that Colby's still a top 10 welterweight, because he doesn't have any wins over any active welterweights. Look at the entire list. Colby Covington doesn't have a win over any active welterweight on the entire roster, but this guy's still a top 10 fighter. He's just like Usman. He doesn't have a win in years, but somehow he's still ranked in the top 10. It literally makes no sense. We look at middleweight. Another case of the same nonsense. Paulo Costa. Let me move it. Paulo Costa, right, is ranked at number 12 at middleweight. Let me stress it again. Paulo Costa ranked number 12. He does not have a win since 2022, and his last win came against Luke Rockhold. Before that, his last win was in 2020, and I don't even remember who it was against. Paulo Costa's 1-4 in his last 5, and he's still ranked in the top 15 at middleweight with no active wins over any UFC fighter. It doesn't make sense. And it never will make sense. Paulo Costa should be out of the rankings. Honestly, call me crazy. I wouldn't even mind Bo Nickel replacing Paulo Costa in the rankings, or Bo Nickel debuting at 15 and getting Paulo Costa out. At least he's undefeated in the UFC. What has Paulo Costa done? Michel Pereira, same thing. Michel Pereira, what has he done at middleweight? He's beat a bunch of cans and got destroyed by Fluffy, and somehow this guy's still ranked in the top 15. Marvin Vettori moved down to 10. I do agree with that. How is Izzy still in the top 5? Izzy is 1-4 in his last 5, still ranked in the top 5. Move Cal Baraujo to number 4 and move Izzy and Whitaker down. What are we doing? I wouldn't even mind Jared Cannonier being above Izzy. I know Izzy has a win over him, but it's like, Izzy, listen, bro, we're not living in 2021 anymore. This ain't prime Izzy. He's 1-4 in his last 5. It's time to stop giving these guys just free passes to be top 5 fighters forever. Let's look at the light heavyweight rankings, which I believe I mostly agree with. Jan Blachowicz at 5. Rakic, I don't know if he should be at 6. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. How is Rakic still ranked at number 6? You could arguably throw Khalil above Rakic. He only lost to Pereira, and he had a really good performance against Pereira. Not to mention that before that, he was on a 5-fight win streak. Rakic is on a 3-fight losing streak, and he's still up. I wouldn't even mind Dominic Reyes beat at number 6, dude. Bump Rakic down. Dominic Reyes should be 6. I don't care if he just beat, who was it? Nikita Krylov. Nikita Krylov was number 8 whenever Dominic Reyes beat him. Give Dominic Reyes number 6 and move Rakic down. What has Rakic done? He hasn't got a win in like 4 years. Like, why are we letting these guys hog the rankings? Nikita Krylov down. I agree with that. And Anthony Smith shouldn't be ranked at light heavyweight in 2025. Let's look at heavyweight. I'm not even sure about heavyweight. I don't think any heavyweight fights happen this weekend. Obviously, we got Tom Aspinall as the interim champion. Cyril Gane at 2, Volkov at 3, Pavlovich at 4, Blades at 5. Okay, I mostly agree with the heavyweight rankings. You do have to have Blades above Almeida because he does have a finish win over him. And honestly, I wouldn't mind putting Unk Tybura above Sergey Spivak because he just beat the undefeated GOAT in Mick Parkin. So move Tybura above him. But listen, guys, the GOAT Shamil Gaziev should be ranked in the top 5, no doubt. But all jokes aside, the reason I'm making this video and ranting and raving and complaining is because the UFC rankings prove once again, this is one thing I actually see eye to eye with Dana White, is that the UFC rankings make no sense. They're not indicative of the best fighters in the world or where they should properly be placed. And time again, every single Tuesday that we have fights and we get ranking updates, we get proven once again that the rankings literally make no sense. They don't make any sense. Across nearly all the divisions, there's incorrect rankings. Like, what are the media members that rank these guys thinking? And I can't stress this enough. I'm going to complain about it one more time. Why is Ilya Taporia and Max Holloway ranked at featherweight? They're not featherweights anymore. They've both said they've moved on. It's driving me insane. Why is Paulo Costa ranked? Why is Michael Chandler ranked in the top 12? Dude, he should be down 2 more spots. But either way, I just saw the rankings update today, and I couldn't help but just roll my eyes at how ridiculous they were. I'm sure most of you guys will agree that these rankings make no sense. And yeah, I would say I'm excited to see what happens with the rankings in the near future, but I'm really not, because I'm never excited to see the rankings because they never make sense. But Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are the rankings absolute toast, or am I just overreacting? And where do you think these guys should rank? And am I just hating on the rankings? Does Paulo Costa deserve to be in the top 5 for his win over Luke Rockhold in 2022? Let me know in the comments, guys. Like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. I'm out. Deuces.